Okay guys, I've got the DID atomizer here. You can get this at e-vape.gr and they're pretty much readily available. They ship out, if you buy it this week, it'll ship out the following week, and it takes about 15 days or so to actually get it in the mail. The main holdup is the customs in New York. It took 10 days, that includes weekends. So it took 10 days to clear customs. That's the bad part about it. However, it's $102, so it's an awesome deal. It's a good atomizer. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the positives. The visual of this is downright amazing. It would be nice to have a clear tank, and he is going to, if he's not already, sell the clear tanks for these. If not, there's a guy named Kerr Francis that you can get them from as well, and they're fairly cheap. They're not too much money to get. I'd say about $12, but that's just a guess. Could be as much as $22. So I've seen a lot of ranges in the clear tanks, and that's the reason why it's such a broad number, because I'm not 100% sure on that. But anyways, so either way, good investment here. Just go over some of the things that I've done to this, because I did have some issues with it, and it basically sat around for a month. So now that I've got things worked out with it, what my main issue was the cap, the hole in the cap in particular. That hole had some burrs in it, and they were on the inside, so it was kind of hard to tell. So I was getting a really nice firing coil when it wasn't, the cap wasn't on, and then I put the cap on, and I didn't know if it was like some kind of electrical malfunction within the unit, that something was shorting out, because this is the ground here on the top, and I thought maybe by putting this on there I was adding more ground and causing issues somehow, some way with that. But it wasn't that. It turned out to be just a stupid hole in the cap. So what I did was I got a drill bit. Unfortunately, the smallest drill bit that I had was a 1/16 of an inch, so that meant that I had to step up the hole bigger rather than kind of ream it out a little bit and clean up the edges on the inside. So what I ended up having to do was just drill the hole bigger, and it's nice and smooth on the inside. Opened up the draw quite a bit, so I switched back to the normal drip tip that it comes with, and it helps to restrict a little bit of airflow. It just slightly helps, so it's kind of bringing it right back to par with something like, say, the Genesis that has a really open draw. Okay, it's not as open as like breathing air in, but it is open to where you can definitely tell a difference. But anyways, it's vaping like a freight train now, thank God. But what I would do was I would try something, and then I would try something else after a couple days, and that's just kind of how it went. I tried every single setup imaginable, but what it all came down to was that stupid hole in the cap. But anyway, so yeah, I've got it set up the way that it was when I first got it. So back to square one, and it's vaping like a freight train. Some things to watch out for with the DID is these brass nuts and the brass center post, which is your positive connector. It has, those nuts are a little bit too thick, I'd say, because a lot of times that wire, your coil, will be pushed over, and some of those coils are going to touch the nut, so you want to watch out for that. Basically, not the coil, the mesh needs to go exactly straight up. You can't tilt it over a little bit, otherwise you're going to run into issues. I've had that issue where it was close, and I took my little screwdriver and I pushed it over, but then after a few hits it went back over. I lost vapor production, so then I had to pry it over again, and eventually I finally got it. But I had a 3 wrap on here because of my issues, and so I just wanted to make it as hot as possible to try to get vapor production. So I took the 3 wrap off and just wrapped a regular, what is this, 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3, it's a true 4 wrap, 4 on one side, 5 on the other. And I left a little length of wire here on the top, this way if I needed to adjust I would be okay to do that, and that doesn't affect anything. That's a little trick I learned on the forums. Also, thank God somebody mentioned something about the cap. Okay, so I think that that's an issue that a lot of people are gonna run across, so I want to stress that point to make sure if you're having issues, don't fuss with the wick and the coil for a month straight like I did. Check that stupid hole. Sometimes it's the simplest things. You wouldn't think it would come out of the factory with a small little easily fixed defect, so you really wouldn't look for something like that basically. So that's what it is. Watch the coil around the nuts, watch the hole in here, and I take the nut for the fill hole, or not the nut but the stud out, the bolt or whatever, Allen key bolt, and that actually helps a lot with wicking. I found that when I was doing my my burns like this with the cap, fill hole cap in, that I was having trouble wicking. So I took that cap off, and voila, it pours out of there. The hole didn't actually line up with the wick for maximum vapor production, so I had to add an O-ring, and it came with extra O-rings for the tank. So I have an O-ring down here, and all I do, seeing as how you can't see in the tank to see where the wick lines up, I just put my thumb right there and line up the center of my thumbnail with the wick, and then I screw the lid down and make sure that that hole is now lining up with the center of my thumbnail. Makes it pretty easy, not a problem there. If you ever want to test that, you can stick something inside the hole and see if it touches the wick, and if it touches the wick, you're good to go there. But anyways, I've got this 4 wrap here at 4.5 volts, and let's double check, see what my battery voltage is. 3.8 volts, so that's plenty to push it. It's nice and smooth with a true 4 wrap on there. I mean, I don't get a hint of burnt tasting. I can taste my juice. It's creating plumes of vapor, real nice and thick, like all Genesis atomizers are known for. This is just a wonderful atomizer and worth every penny. I mean, it took me all of 30 seconds to drill that little hole out just a little bit bigger to make sure everything's nice and smooth there, and there you have it. So I'm gonna give this a rating of 8 out of 10. I wouldn't give it more, however, thanks to all the pain that it gave me just from something simple that honestly should have been checked and fixed before shipping to me. Would have caused a lot less hassle for me, and I'm just glad that I finally got it fixed, and that I had other things to use while I was trying to troubleshoot this, or so I thought, troubleshooting. But anyway, so yeah, that's the DID. You can get it at e-vape.gr. Alright, thanks for watching.